What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. How are y'all doing? Oh my god, the coffee's hot. Oh, I didn't realize it was that hot. Oh, Mike's falling over. Okay, we're off to a good start. How are you doing? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I want you to kick back, relax, grab some coffee yourself. We're going to talk about a plus 16 Sanguine depths that I've done, which isn't necessarily that new, but the build we took into it is new. I haven't really run this build seriously yet, not ultra seriously, and we did in fact run Skybreakers as Enhancement Shaman. Some of you guys might not even know that this is a thing, that this is possible, because this is in fact an Elemental Legendary. It's not in the Enhancement tab. You have to go to the Elemental tab, and it's right there. And I'll get into what it does in a minute, but we did run Skybreakers plus Venthyr, which is a combo that sort of has some obvious synergy and makes a lot of sense to people, and we're going to see how it goes here in a minute. So grab your coffee. I'm going to talk about the build that I ran, and then I'm going to go through the dungeon footage of what we did, and I'll talk about sort of the highlights of why this build is good, in particular on this kind of week, which is a fortified week for Mythic Plus. So let me take a drink here. I'm going to burn my tongue off. And let's get into it. So what does Skybreakers do for Enhancement Shaman? Well, it says that Flame Shock damage over time crits reduce the cooldown of Fire Elemental, which we don't have. We don't have a Fire Elemental because we're not Ellie. This is the important part. Flame Shock critical strikes also... Oh, sorry, Flame Shock has a 50% increased critical strike chance. That's all we care about. Every Flame Shock we put out has 50% more crit. Now you can see I'm running like no crit at all. I'll do a little caveat here for a second, little rabbit hole, but it is probably better for this build to run more crit versus more mastery. I actually think they're both fine. I have a super high mastery build because it's just the gear that I have on, and I don't have other gear kicking around that has crit on it. So you can run a mastery focus build, which will make all your Flame Shocks do more damage, or you can run a crit focus build, which will guarantee that they're going to crit more often, which I think is probably better. And that's because of the secondary effect from Venthyr. Venthyr, of course, gives you Chain Harvest. What is the legendary effect for Chain Harvest? Well, it says that 5 friendly targets healed by Chain Harvest get Riptide, 5 enemy targets damaged by Chain Harvest get Flame Shock put on them, and, this is the critical part, Flame Shock crits reduce the cooldown of Chain Harvest by 1 second. This is what our entire legendary does. It makes our Flame Shocks have 50% more crit. And then every crit that our Flame Shocks do reduce the cooldown of Chain Harvest by 1 second. That includes every Flame Shock that's out. Each time any Flame Shock crits, it'll reduce the cooldown of our Chain Harvest by 1 second. That basically means that your Chain Harvest goes from a 1.5 minute cooldown down to something like a 30-second cooldown for me, maybe a 25-second cooldown for me, because I don't have a lot of base crit to start with. So I'm fully relying on Skybreakers to give me the crit that I need. Now, if you had more crit in this build, if you were starting with like 30% crit and getting an additional 50% on top of that, your Chain Harvest would be like a 15-second, maybe a 20-second cooldown at the highest in AoE situations, because you're getting so many extra crits from Flame Shock, which is really, really cool. So again, I do think there's 2 different ways to build this. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have experimented with this build, which way you think is better to build this. I think the crit way is probably better to build this, but I just don't have the gear to support that. So I'm going to do a mastery focus build, which basically means all my Flame Shocks are doing 75% more damage. Every Flame Shock that I have out does 75% more damage. On top of it having 50% crit, and then all those crits are reducing the cooldown of Chain Harvest. That's how the build works. This is essentially a big Chain Harvest build and a Flame Shock build. Your Flame Shocks will end up doing like 30% of your damage overall, and then Chain Harvest will be right behind it. So, for example, I also ran this build in a Plague Fall, this one here, I think, right? So you can see this is what it will look like. I can't actually scroll back far enough in time. We'll see at the end of the VOD. I think I have the damage breakdown from the Sanguine Depths, but I took this into a Plague Fall. You can see Chain Harvest is doing 12% of our damage, and then Flame Shock does 24% of our damage. That is how it's going to work. My Flame Shock crits 66% of the time in this Plague Fall. 66% of the time it was critting. If I had even more base crit, that would be like 80% of the time it would be critting, right? So you can see how this build could be better if you had more base crit to kind of start with. So that's it. Skybreakers plus Venthyr. Big Chain Harvest cooldowns. Big damage from your Flame Shocks. I ran Theatar to get this extra mastery proc from Soothing Shade. I also just really, really, really like the T. When I was running this dungeon, I think I had crit as my T, not agility. Agility would have been, I think, even better. But obviously you can get I really love the stats from the T, so that's me. This is the build that I ran. I had Focus Lightning. We did run Lavish Harvest, and we ran Chilled to the Core. I did not run Magma Fist. Now, it's not that you don't take Hot Hand in this build. You do. Here's the setup that I ran. Lashing Flames, Hot Hand, Hailstorm. I ran Hailstorm plus Chill to the Core because I firmly believe that you need the extra Maelstrom weapon stack generation with this build. This is sort of a passive fire damage build with all the passive Flame Shock crits. You get all the big damage from Chain Harvest, but Chain Harvest and Flame Shock don't generate stacks of Maelstrom weapon. And so in order to have the extra Maelstrom weapon stack generation, I pivot over to Hailstorm as my AoE button, so I use Frost Shock, and I take Chill to the Core. And you can see in this Plaguefall that Frost Shock does really good damage. Like, this is the kind of damage breakdown you can expect when you're running this build. Frost Shock will be huge. It does 12.5% of my damage. On top of that, it generates ridiculous amounts of Maelstrom weapon stacks. 2,800 in this Plaguefall that I did. I'm not even sure what the overall would be on the dungeon I'm about to show you, the Sanguine Depths, but this is what you can expect to generate on average. 2,800 stacks of Maelstrom weapon generation. It's insane. That allows you to summon Feral Spirits. A lot of Feral Spirits. You're going to get them out because I do have the two-piece rolling, of course. This is why this is so important. Every time you spend a Maelstrom weapon stack, you have a 3% chance, and basically a 15% chance, because you're going to spend 5 at a time, to have a Feral Spirit spawn for 9 seconds. So that's how the build kind of all works together. Those are the conduits that I ran. That's why I ran it. So this is a Chain Harvest focused build with Flame Shock. And because of that, I feel personally that you don't generate a lot of Maelstrom weapon stacks. So I ran Focus Lightning, Lavish Harvest, and Chilled to the Core with my Hailstorm AoE button. That's what I ran. And then, of course, if you do get a Hot Hand proc, you're going to tab target through, get the Lashing Flame debuffs on everybody. But there is something to be said for taking Wasteland Propriety. This has been a very common thing with people who've run this build, because your Chain Harvest cooldown is roughly 20 seconds to 25 seconds probably, and you're going to get this versatility bonus for 14 seconds after casting Chain Harvest. So, like, in AoE packs, the chances of you having Wasteland Propriety up for, like, the entire AoE pack is pretty high, actually. There's a good chance you might get a 15-second cooldown on Chain Harvest, which means, boom, you have the buff once again. So there is a pivot here. You could go, instead of going triple potency, you could go Wasteland Propriety instead. But I went triple potency just to test it out, just to see what it was kind of like. But that's the build, guys. Let's jump into the VOD. Let's check it out. Let's move over here. Let me get my notes up over there, and then we'll make this all big, and we'll flip over. So here's the opening couple packs.
No idea. I think it's going to be good, but you never really know.
So we are Venthyr plus
kind of all this passive damage, right?
plus Skybreakers. Right, of course. Sorry, I'm losing my brain. So I wish the tank would have pulled more here.
Are we really just doing this?
Yeah, you should pull 6 mobs here, not 3.
You're shitting me, right?
This is sort of a continuing problem, but you can see the damage of Chain Harvest. We're already doing 21k, which
you're shitting me, right?
this kept bothering me. The tank kept pulling like small packs, and you really got to pull.
I'm running Hailstorm because I'm very worried about generating stacks of Maelstrom weapon.
Yeah.
Very worried.
I'll let my old self talk for a second here.
So I really feel like we need to run the Hailstorm instead of Fire Nova. I actually think it's pretty critical.
Watch this. We cast Chain Harvest here.
Especially with now that we have the 2-piece.
Here comes Chain Harvest.
Our spenders all the time, right?
There's Chain Harvest. Watch the cooldown. It already went down. I think we get it back a second time here. Watch this.
So we might as well.
53, 50, 49, 48, 41, 39, 36, 30,
Look at our damage.
27, 26, 20, 18, 15, 10. Look at how fast that went down. We get it back again.
Oh my god. We got Chain Harvest back so fast right there.
That's the build, guys.
Dope, man.
That's how this works.
That was really cool.
It was dope.
Oh man,
I don't know why I said
really
dope.
Cool.
So that's the idea,
right?
right?
Expect it to come back that quick.
And then you can also grab If you get it reduces the cooldown even more. So like you can kind of like double dip, triple dip, really go down on this Chain Harvest. All in on Chain Harvest. So Chain Harvest is coming back. 14.
Theatar into a Sundering.
10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's back. We cast it.
Oh man, this thing slaps.
103, 60, 57, 53, 50,
I
48,
think you
47,
need the Maelstrom
40.
generation, dudes. I really
It's
think
really,
you do.
really cool. You can
The
see
fire
those.
builds just struggle so much to generate.
Let me pause for a second. You really struggle. Sorry, you do struggle with Maelstrom Generation, but the Flame Shot crits, you can see them coming. If I had even more crit, it would be even better. But I'm going to make my final point on Hailstorm here in a second.
They just do. It might sound really weird, but man, I feel like they just struggle.
Chain Harvest number 2 for this
Full
pack.
heal everybody?
And it
Let's
does
go.
full heal everybody.
We're gonna die?
It's crazy. I'm going to show you the healing of it later. It's just bonkers.
We survived. Oh no, we didn't.
I think the tank died here, so he dropped aggro, and somebody rezzed him, but he had dropped aggro at that point, so it didn't matter. But that's it. I'm actually not gonna. I'm not gonna let myself. I do talk about Hailstorm quite a bit here. I think Hailstorm's just really, really, really strong. I think Fire Nova is fine, but this idea that you can take Chill to the Core and then Hailstorm, making your Frost Shocks do strong AOE damage. I think they have the potential to do more AOE damage than Fire Nova even, unless it's like a super uncapped situation over and over and over again. Then Fire Nova is absolutely better, but Hailstorm does respectable AoE damage, and it generates infinite amounts of Maelstrom weapon stacks, which feeds into your 2-piece tier set. It's just really, really, really strong. So I'm always going to be all about that. Let's go to 45. 45. There's a couple of AoE packs here.
It's tilting me.
Here we go.
Right off the earth.
So this is another AoE
I
pack
know
here.
this round, by the way. Don't worry. Round.
Just going to show off the AoE damage once again. There's
Okay,
Chain
this is
Harvest
a good
number 1.
indication right here of how it's going to be. We're going to get lots of cooldown reduction.
So I didn't get an initial crit on Chain Harvest there. There is a built-in part of Chain Harvest as well, where if Chain Harvest, the initial cast of Chain Harvest crits, it also reduces the cooldown. So that gives you even more incentive to have more baseline crit in your kit. So
Chain
on this
Harvest.
pack, I did not get that initial crit buff on Chain Harvest, so it doesn't actually come back in time.
We're not going to get it back.
This would be
unfortunately.
back by
No,
now.
We're going to get it back in time.
And I could cast it a second time, but I got unlucky. But again, my crit's pretty low, so that's why.
Oh, we will now.
The other thing is that Chain Harvest itself does shadow damage, so it doesn't. The initial hit from Chain Harvest does not benefit from your mastery at all.
Okay, we
So
need to cast it like right now.
this is interesting. I get to open with Chain Harvest, which is scary because you take aggro.
I deserve that. Did you
Yeah.
see that? I opened with Chain Harvest.
But we're doing 27k. Like, look at the damage, guys. 27k.
Get whacked there.
Look at all the crits from Flame
That
Shot.
was 100%
They're all critting.
my fault. That's
Crit, crit,
so
crit.
funny.
It's crazy.
Like, if you're gonna open with Chain Harvest, you need to pop your defensive. That's
And we
just
get
how
Chain
that
Harvest
works.
back. We get it back. Second time. Just really, really
Two
cool.
chain-
26k. So I mean the look at the subtlety rogues just absolutely slapping. So good for him. He was doing really, really good damage throughout the dungeon. But you can
Harvest
see
in
that.
pull.
Okay, Kyrxis.
These guys are kind of wussies. Like I don't know.
I'll
what's
show you
going on
Kyrxis
here.
here.
We need to-
I
gotta
know I've
man
showed you
up
guys
and
these
do
bosses
this
a million
right.
times. So, but I just wanted I want to show you with this new build.
You
How
wanna
does this feel different?
This kind of a key. You gotta.
You know, how does this feel different from the other builds that I've run in the past, from like PLA or Witch Doctor Wolfbones, or even something like Legacy of the Frost Witch or Doomwinds? Like, how does this stack up? And I think it's very, very good. One thing I do want to talk about a lot on these boss fights is the
full
off
heal
healing.
coming from Chain
Look at the heal right here. Look at that.
Boom.
Let's go back really quick. Look at everybody's health here. My Chain Harvest is coming off cooldown. The off healing from Chain Harvest is absolutely
Full
crazy,
heal
guys.
coming from Chain
Right, look at everybody's. They're not that injured, but I'm going to top everybody right here with one cast.
Harvest.
Look at that.
Boom.
That's so crazy. I'm doing 4.5. I'm doing as much healing as the healer right now. Like, it's so strong.
need
The
two
off
targets for, like,
healing
the entire
from this
fight,
is
please.
so strong compared to something like Necrolord, where you don't get to off heal anybody, right? That is a massive benefit. I know people have talked a lot about that. I am fully on board the train of the off healing from this ability. It's really strong. It cannot be overstated, really. That it's so strong, and the cooldown of it was surprisingly good on a boss fight. I think
you just get to.
we're doing 12k, by the way, single target. The boss fights are the scariest part for a Skybreakers Enhance build like this because we're kind of all in on AoE. We are all in on the AoE, and there's no AoE here except for at the beginning. So it's kind of a scary moment where you want to
Wolves, man.
try and do as much
When you're
damage as you
running
can, but
this
the
setup.
build is probably weaker. But actually, what I found is that the build ended up being okay. Here's another moment of off healing.
With
Ready for this?
Hailstorm.
Watch this.
Oh, full heal. Here we go. Full heal.
Boom. Hit everybody again.
Look at
Huge
that.
healing. Again, they weren't really in danger, but if they were in
doing
danger,
respectable
we probably
damage
would
on
have
a
full
boss
healed them
fight.
because
This is
Chain
not what I
Harvest crit there.
expected
So
at all. I thought this would suffer tremendously.
so we end up doing
I think it's
about
because Hailstorm.
10
God Hand's doing a lot of work
10k
too.
overall.
But like
Yeah, and
that
it's because
generation
it's because of Hot Hand
Hailstorm weapon stats.
and
Oh my God.
Hailstorm. That's
It's
why
so
we're
good.
able to pump out enough single target damage because the Hot Hand does a lot of fire damage right off the bat. And then the Hailstorm buff from Frost Shock, first of all, makes Frost Shock do respectable damage. Also, with Chill to the Core, you can generate more stacks of Maelstrom weapon, which is really hard to do on single target. But with the Hailstorm buff, you can do it, and it means that you will be able to get to your spenders, and that will summon a dog. It all synergizes together. It really, really helps on single target.
I don't really care.
I pulled more here
But
because
this
you need to
stupid
just pull
little
more. You can't be
Scaredy pants.
can't be a
phase.
wimp about it.
Let's pull some stuff. Let's stun it. Let's get on this.
I'd had enough.
Before I die.
I just had enough.
Who's here for it? Who's here for me dying right
I'm
now?
definitely gonna die.
I
Yeah.
am.
Decurse right here. I've said this a million times. Decurse your healers. He has 2 on him right now. They will love you.
Uncurse the tank or on the healer. Uncurse?
Sorry, uncurse.
I'm
That's the
gonna
new.
uncurse him.
It's the new way of
Are you
saying
ready
it.
for my uncurse? I am. I'm gonna die.
You gotta
Chain Harvest
uncurse,
spell,
guys.
Give it to me.
Here comes Chain Harvest with another big
we got
heal. Watch
There
this.
it is. Boom,
Boom.
baby.
Everybody's at full. It's just
You gotta
crazy.
Trust.
It's just look at this. 5.6k, 5.0, 4.3k healing. What?
Trust
It's just
in
crazy.
Chain Harvest,
It's really
and
crazy.
it will
So
be there
let's
for
move
you
forward.
in your darkest days.
50.45. Again, if you guys have never seen one of my videos, this lady, the Overseer, I think here she'll do chains. The Oppressor, sorry. No, the Grand Overseer. Here it comes in like 3 seconds. 2, 1. Here it is. Dread Bindings right here. You can fix this with Spirit Walk right down here. The little pause, little orange pause. You have to wait till you get the chain on you, and then you break it with Spirit Walk.
Get our speed thing.
So I do it right now. I
The
break
curse is
it.
going out.
Then you don't have to run away
Uncurse him.
from this mob.
I
I've said
gotta
it a
stop
million
saying
times,
that.
but
Holy
it's just
crap.
good.
Somebody stop me from saying
I
uncurse.
uncurse the
That's
healer
the worst
again.
way to talk.
Here comes another Chain Harvest. Gonna heal everybody.
Decurse. Second Chain Harvest this pack. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it's just really good. Chain Harvest is just, it feels really good with Skybreakers. Let me tell you. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's move forward. 54. 5420. So, this is a bolstering week. I'm just going to say something real quick here. This is bolstering. Bolstering says when an enemy dies, he buffs everybody around him by like 20%. 20% more damage, I think 20% more health. So you can't chain pull packs into other packs because then that first pack will die and they'll buff the next pack. So, unfortunately, the tank has a bit of a brain fart
Why
here.
are you doing that? Oh my god, now they're all going to bolster.
This is really funny.
Every single one of them.
This is
What
a
the hell?
Zuko losing
Not
his
what I
mind.
meant when I said pull more. You need to do it in like an intelligent way.
So we just bolstered all these guys. So now they're harder to kill. Watch this. You can decurse this as well. See that on the hunter? You can decurse this. I think I do, but he dies anyway, which
I
is fine.
decursed him and he died anyway.
It's all right.
Okay.
So then the tank does just something really weird here,
Annoying you?
and
What are we doing?
he lets the patrol. He should have pulled us away from the patrol.
No. What is this? Does he know what the affixes are? Holy mother of God, no.
And it does not end up being that bad, but don't do this, guys. If you're tanking this dungeon, I mean, you either pull them all at the same time and kill them, or you only pull 3 at a time. Now, I think you should pull them all at the same time because otherwise you're not going to time a key. But anyway, it's fine. He kind of does the worst of both of those decisions, and that's okay. It's just the way it goes sometimes. He was actually a great tank overall, so he just had some bumps there. Let's go to Beryllia. We're going to skip to the Beryllia fight. I really want to highlight how good the off healing is once again on Chain Harvest. I end up dipping to like 1,184 health. I think I wrote that down here. So we need to go to 106.15. Let's just go there really quick.
Oh, I got.
We'll let it play. We'll let it play up because we're almost there. We're like 20 seconds away.
Do that better.
So watch this. Everybody takes a ton of damage. Chain Harvest is really good here. I run way too far away, but anyway, forget about that. We're going to slow it down here. Just want you to see something. Oh, not yet. Let's go one right now. For one right now. Okay, I'm slowing it down. So everybody, look at my health. I get that little. An individual DPS will get a little curse on them in this fight. I get it back to back. It just went away, and now it's back on me. So I'm dipping really low. I didn't even realize I should have popped my defensive. I was trying to hold my defensive for the next big AoE. Watch this. Chain Harvest is coming back. Watch my health. 36,000, 89, 1184. And then I hit Chain Harvest. Boom! It saves me. It gives me like 20,000 health right there. And then the Paladin picks me up the rest of the way. Just some crazy moments with Chain Harvest, man. The healing is like pretty clutch. Now, I should have been probably using my defensive. And I don't know. We weren't doing a good job of sharing the space here. But anyway, we do end up getting through this fight. Chain Harvest is once again just really, really strong extra healing for your group. It's just I can't talk about it enough. It's so good, the off healing here. It's just fantastic. So really love that. Let's move on to the Gauntlet. We're almost done here. So the Gauntlet is a really fantastic like chunk of this dungeon for Chain Harvest, because you're constantly able to apply flame shocks to multiple enemies. There's never just one single target in this entire Gauntlet run. There's always multiple enemies. So look at the Chain Harvest cooldown. 111, 103, 59, 54, 50, 47, 40. Like it just flies down, and you get to cast it so many times in this corridor. So it makes it really, really strong. And the off healing is really good. One thing that's really interesting about this corridor is the Quaking affix this week with the dome that she puts down, right? We ended up getting Quaking overlapping with like almost every single dome. I'm going to show it to you on the boss fight. We got lucky on this one, but like on the boss fight, it's even worse because you're forced to get into this dome or else you get blasted away. But then the Quaking happens, and then you're all overlapping Quaking, and you will literally die from that. So it's a really interesting part for this week. If you want to do Sanguine Depths, it actually adds an additional wrinkle to this end part of the game, which I think is really cool. Look at that full heal. Sorry. One more time. Watch everybody's health. I can't get over how good the healing is in this. We have to run away from Quaking. Here we go. Chain Harvest is up. 3, 2, 1. Look at their health. Boom! Everybody goes to full.
That full heal from Chain Harvest.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's really, really good. Okay. Let's go to General Kaal. Again, the Gauntlet is just very, very good for this build. It's really good. So here's the General Kaal.
Right now, goddammit.
Here's the General Kaal fight. We're going to show you, there's a moment like right coming up in 15 seconds here where the Quaking overlaps with the mechanic, and it's just nasty. Now, there's a really cool thing that the Rogue does. So I'm going to pause it and show you. This Rogue was actually pretty awesome. Here comes the mechanic right here. In 3, 2, 1. Does she do it yet? Oh, there it is. It's coming. Here it is. So watch this. She does Gloom Squall. We all have to get together for the dome. Quaking happens right now. It's really awful. I'm going to slow it down because it's just hilarious to watch. Ready? Here we go. We're all in here. Oh, no. Oh, no.
We're dead.
We're dead. Look at Yellow gets smacked. This is the Rogue. He's flying through the air right now. See, he's flying. He's flying. Watch what he does. Flying. Zip. He jumps back to the boss. He would have died. He would have flown right off the platform. He shadow steps to the boss. That was pretty sick. That was a pretty sick move.
Oh, did he dash back? That was sick.
Yeah,
I think
that
the
was.
Rogue shadow stepped back to the boss.
It was really, really cool.
That was
So,
wild.
We do end up killing Kaal, but it's a really interesting fight. Getting these mechanics overlapping, it actually adds a kind of a neat wrinkle in my mind. We got lucky there, yeah. So we kill her right there.
We did it.
General Kaal goes down, and the dungeon's over. We do 11.4k overall, which is good.
People are dying.
The mechanics are still going off. Love that. I got about 8 rating, which was really good. 11.4k. The Subtlety Rogue did way more. He was really fantastic. This is the level I need to probably get to, but once I get my 4-piece bonus, maybe I'll start getting to damage that's a little bit higher like that. Maybe we could switch to a Storm Strike build.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I can't believe we timed that. We had no business timing that.
I got to Canter, which is interesting. I actually like. I want to try it now.
Anima Charge wins is actually.
That's the damage, guys. That's it. I'm gonna. It's 11.4k overall. I don't know if I actually take a look at the.
I actually want to try.
Let's just look really, really quick
good.
here.
We're at 25:31 now. should never. I'll need the deets.
Did we look at our
Give us the
damage?
deets.
Give me a second here.
You piece of-
No, I don't think we do, which is fine. So it's 11.4 K overall, which is I'm happy with right now. Like I said before, the damage will look something like this one here, where you've got huge Flame Shock and good Frost Shock, and then Chain Harvest as well coming in there. Again, it's not focused as much on Lava Lash. It's mostly just about the Flame Shock ticks. They're all critting all the time, reducing the cooldown of Chain Harvest, giving you those big, juicy Chain Harvests, and then the off healing that we had. Let me go back and look at the video really quick. We did 1.6K healing overall, which is obviously not, you know, but we're not a healer. We're just a DPS that's giving this extra healing as a bonus. So it's just amazing what you can pull off with the Chain Harvest build from Venthyr. It's so strong, guys. I really love it. So that's it. That was the build. That was the Sanguine depths that I ran into at 16. I'm going to keep pushing for higher keys. A couple people were asking me, like, why don't you run higher level keys? It's like, well, I don't have a group that I can do it with. So I do need to hopefully find, like, a group of people that I can run Mythic Plus with all the time, because right now I don't have a group that can do it. And you really do need, like, a coordinated group of people on Discord or whatever to be able to do it. I'm just pugging every single key that I have here. Every key you see on this channel has basically been pugged. So hopefully I can get a group together soon, and then I can really start pushing into the higher keys. But I love this build. It worked. 11.4K overall, it worked. And I think it will actually continue to work on fortified weeks. I think on tyrannical weeks, it's probably a lot worse, because you spend so much more time on the boss fight doing single target damage that it's just not going to be good. Better to take Wish Doctor Wolf Bones or something. But that is it, guys. That is Skybreakers plus Venthyr. That's the build that I ran, and we did lots of damage. It was a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out more of these crazy builds that I'm doing on the channel, then make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe down below. And until the next one, I'll see you guys later.